Gentlemen, let's have a quick, honest conversation. Has the concept of the forbidden ever truly intrigued you? Perhaps it is the sheer thrill of it. Maybe it is the element of surprise. Or perhaps it is the profound idea of safely exploring boundaries within a deeply respected, pre-agreed container. If you have ever questioned whether incorporating a few edgier techniques could actually elevate your intimacy rather than damage it, this discussion is meant for you. I am Dr. Nerita, a board-certified urologist specializing in men's health and intimate wellness. For the past 12 years, I have helped couples discover what is safe, what truly functions, and what builds unbreakable trust behind closed doors. Today, I am going to break down 3 once taboo practices that, when executed with explicit consent, deep care, and proper aftercare, can awaken parts of the nervous system that daily life rarely touches, leaving her feeling profoundly understood and craving your presence even more. Before we dive in, 2 brief reminders. Please like this video, subscribe if you are new to the channel, and share in the comments section where you are tuning in from. I read your responses, and they constantly remind me that this is a global movement focused on real relationship health. Now, let us approach this topic carefully, intelligently, and with genuine kindness. Here is a prevailing myth I encounter all the time: the belief that any practice that feels intense or carries an edge is inherently disrespectful or hazardous. That is only half true. It absolutely can be if it is forced without explicit consent, physical safety, and radical honesty. However, the medical and clinical reality is entirely different. When couples establish enthusiastic consent, set firm boundaries, agree on a distinct stop signal, and commit to thorough aftercare, certain techniques labeled as forbidden can actually switch on powerful reward and safety networks deep inside the brain. These practices function effectively because they engage a much larger portion of her nervous system, stimulating pressure receptors in the fascia and skin, activating pelvic nerve pathways, and triggering trigeminal inputs from the scalp. When these sensory signals unite, they create a highly profound, embodied experience. Simply put, it isn't a conflict between rules and pleasure, it is a highly calibrated craft. Mastering this craft demands open communication, constant calibration, and deep compassion. For over a decade, I have sat with couples during their most vulnerable moments, coaching them on how to navigate these exact dialogues and practices safely. I have observed with absolute clarity that the partners who succeed the most are those who build a protective container before anything physical happens. They establish clear words, utilize strategic signals, move slowly with explicit permission, and debrief thoroughly afterwards so the experience is encoded in the mind as pure connection rather than confusion. Today, I am going to guide you step by step through setting up this container, followed by the 3 specific techniques: intentional name play, controlled rhythmic spanking, and gentle scalp hair-based stimulation. We will look at the underlying biology of why these sensations are so potent, how to practice them with absolute safety, and precisely what to do if an experience misses the mark. The final technique, the one many men mistakenly assume is a step too far, is actually one of the most deeply intimate ways to bond when handled with extreme care. We will cover that one last. Before attempting any technique, you must build the container. This must be done while fully clothed, completely calm, and entirely present. This step is non-negotiable. Here is your container checklist to review while seated comfortably together. First, map out 3 distinct zones: what feels highly appealing, what is completely off-limits, and what you are both genuinely open to exploring. Second, select an unmistakable stop signal, such as the word red or I pause, and a clear slowdown cue, like the word yellow or softer. Third, agree on a subtle, in-the-moment physical check-in. A single firm squeeze of the hand means, give me more, while a double tap means, ease up right now. Finally, establish a mandatory aftercare ritual, which includes placing water by the bedside, sharing a slow embrace, engaging in 60 to 120 seconds of calming, grounding touch, and speaking a single sentence of honest reassurance, such as, "You were absolutely incredible, and did you feel safe?" Why does this matter from a biological standpoint? The human nervous system is deeply responsive to patterns. If her brain consciously expects absolute safety, a highly predictable stop mechanism, and a known, comforting landing space, it can freely release oxytocin while downregulating fear circuits. This allows powerful pleasure pathways to open completely. Emotionally, this approach places trust at the forefront. Without this foundation, edge play quickly degrades into coercion. With it, the forbidden transforms into a beautiful, shared adventure. Practically speaking, dedicate just 3 to 5 minutes to this checklist before you even share a kiss. This brief investment will multiply the depth of everything that follows. Let us explore technique number 1, name play, which is essentially consensual, elevated erotic dialogue. What if spoken words served as a source of total permission rather than pressure? Name play is a pre-negotiated, carefully curated form of intimate language. It has absolutely nothing to do with insults, degradation, or coercion. Instead, it focuses on permissioned praise and vocalizing desire using the exact words she loves to hear. Biologically, processing language right near the ear utilizes powerful trigeminal and facial nerve inputs, alongside the brain's auditory reward pathways. When you combine these vocal cues with physical touch, the brain rapidly pairs specific words with intensely pleasurable bodily sensations. Dopamine surges dramatically when the vocal language matches the physical sensation. This is precisely why well-timed, adoring words can feel so incredibly intoxicating. Emotionally, many women spend their daily lives being polite, professional, or entirely in charge. Hearing a carefully selected phrase within a completely safe frame can grant her explicit permission to simply want and receive. It can be an immensely liberating experience. To practice this practically, only proceed after you have explicitly mapped out your boundaries. Ask her directly beforehand, not just, "Can I talk during intimacy?" but rather, "Are there specific phrases you deeply love to hear? Are there any specific words that are a strict no for you?" Take mental note of these. Next, anchor your words directly to physical sensation. Speak phrases that are explicitly tied to what you are seeing or feeling in real time, such as, "The way you arch when I kiss your neck, stay right there," or "Your lips feel absolutely incredible right here." Focus heavily on observational praise and sensual permission. Additionally, match your breath and tone to hers. Keep your voice low, warm, and positioned very close to her ear, timing your speech to match her exhale. Keep the focus entirely on her desire and your absolute awe of it. Avoid any degrading language unless it has been explicitly requested and fully agreed upon beforehand. Critical mistakes to avoid include improvising phrases without clear consent, using language that induces shame, or introducing poorly timed insults. If she flinches or suddenly grows quiet, stop immediately and check in. For aftercare, always conclude with soft praise and a comforting hand squeeze tied directly to your agreed-upon landing ritual. Technique number 2 is controlled, consensual rhythmic spanking. The word spanking can sound intimidating or alarming at first, but when utilized correctly, the practice centers entirely on rhythm, not pain. It involves applying a measured, rhythmic palm pressure to the upper outer quadrant of the buttock, the fluid, fleshy zone. This is woven into a coordinated cadence paired smoothly with breath, tactile touch, and, if mutually agreed upon, steady penetration or external stimulation. Biologically, the buttocks contain an incredibly rich network of sensory inputs, muscles, and facial webs that connect directly to the pelvic organs via branches of the pudendal nerve, as well as specialized pressure and stretch receptors. When you apply highly controlled pressure followed by an immediate rebound, meaning you press firmly and then let go, you activate deep mechanoreceptors. This activation can echo deeply into the pelvis, naturally increasing pelvic floor tone and heightening overall arousal. Furthermore, the brain responds to rhythmic, patterned stimulation through a process called entrainment, causing her pleasure centers to fully synchronize with the tempo you establish. Emotionally, provided it is fully consented to and desired, this practice can feel deeply primal and intensely connective, acting as a shared, highly controlled exchange of power and physical sensation. To execute this safely and practically, prioritize tissue preparation first. Always begin with gentle, open-palmed kneading and slow, deliberate caresses to warm up the tissue and thoroughly soften the underlying muscles. Pay strict attention to physical location, aim exclusively for the upper outer quadrant of the buttock. You must completely avoid the tailbone, the spine, the hip bones, and the kidneys. Keep your hand shape correct by keeping your fingers tightly together and your palm open. Focus entirely on a press and rebound motion rather than a sharp, stinging slap. When it comes to tempo and pressure, always start incredibly light. Aim for roughly 1 to 2 impacts per breath cycle. Watch closely for clear green lights, such as natural body arching, deep exhaling, or rhythmic pelvic pulsing. If you notice her body stiffen or her breath suddenly shorten, ease off immediately. This technique functions best when paired with steady, continuous external stimulation either via a hand or a dedicated toy, or a highly constant physical motion from you. The brain absolutely thrives on patterns, making a steady beat an essential component of the pleasure architecture. Always land softly. Immediately soothe the area by applying firm palm pressure, gently kissing the spot, and offering water alongside a minute of comforting chest-to-back holding. Avoid hitting bone, increasing your speed without explicit permission, or failing to soothe the tissue afterward. If there is ever any bruising or sharp pain, cease the practice immediately. Remember, the landing is paramount. This is the exact moment where physical consent is transformed into a beautiful memory. Technique number 3 is intentional, gentle scalp and hair-based stimulation. While this final method can sound intense, for many couples, it represents one of the most profoundly intimate ways to connect. It involves a gentle, highly deliberate traction at the roots of the hair close to the scalp, never a sudden yank. This is utilized as part of a highly coordinated rhythm, frequently timed beautifully with a deep breath, a kiss, or a physical thrust. When performed correctly, the physical sensation travels efficiently along the trigeminal and cervical sensory pathways, moving down into the pelvic floor like a wave. Biologically, the human scalp is incredibly dense with nerve endings. Applying a slow, steady pull at the hair roots stimulates afferent signals that can dynamically modulate spinal and vagal circuits, often resulting in a profound, whole-body rush. Timing this gentle traction with her exhale and pelvic motion can significantly amplify the embodied sensation, generating a synchronous experience that links the head and the pelvis beautifully. Emotionally, when she can clearly sense that this technique is being handled with absolute care, it feels intensely evocative and full-bodied. This is not dominance devoid of affection, rather, it is an intimate conversation between the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems that can facilitate a profound emotional and physical release. Please review the practical guidelines carefully, because physical safety is paramount. First, perform a medical screening. Skip this practice entirely if she deals with chronic neck issues, severe migraines, recent scalp procedures, or wears hair extensions. Secure explicit consent and confirm your stop word before proceeding. If there is even a shred of hesitation, do not attempt it. For proper hand positioning, gather a small, controlled handful of hair right at the base of the skull, curving your fingers like a gentle hook close to the roots. Never grab the fragile ends of the hair. Control the direction and timing by choosing one slow, steady path either backward or slightly upward. Apply the tension slowly, hold it steadily for 1 to 2 full breaths, and then gently release. Ideally, time this traction with a deep thrust or a lingering kiss. Keep the pressure strictly guiding rather than jerking. If you notice her body tense up or her neck start to twist, stop immediately. Conclude by soothing the area, gently massage her scalp in slow, relaxing circles and transition back into a warm, gentle touch. Avoid pulling too few hairs at once, executing sudden movements, or ignoring any rotation of her neck. If she ever reports pain, numbness, or dizziness during or after the encounter, stop immediately and seek medical advice. Your aftercare should involve an immediate scalp massage, offering water, close chest holding, and a thorough debrief where you ask, "How did that feel for you? Is there anything I should adjust next time?"